exciting video where he once again joined me in the wild landscape of Scotland. And today I've come down next to this farm, which is the Scots in Avusen, and I've come to this crazy little coastal piece of landscape because this is a little end of year, kind of like New Year special here at the end of 2023. And I'm using this video here just to thank all the subscribers and all the viewers and all the people that's been along on this journey with us this year on the channel. It's been so cool, and we've had some mad adventures. Adventures a bit like what we're away to have today, folks. This is actually an old abandoned farm that I have looked at a few times on the videos, dating back, probably it's been here since the 1700s, and then even into the 1800s it would have been in its prime, and then one day it was just abandoned and forgotten when the newer farm was actually built at this side here. And I have studied some of the interesting details about this farm in previous videos, so on today's adventure we're away to head on beyond to the wild coastal lands here. This farm's actually Scots in Avusen, and the coast here is just wild and crazy to see. And look how muddy it is, because this is actually a cow field that we're in the middle of, and I'm just hoping there's no cows kicking about in the field. It is currently Hogmanay here, New Year's Eve, the time of filming this, so that gives you an idea of like what day of the week it is here. And we've had some crazy weather. I can see that old overflow there on the dam. That's like a farm dam, which at one time would have powered the mill. Whoa, I can see, look, this has been washing away here. Yeah, all those waterways and stuff were made back at an ancient time, 1800s and stuff like that. And there's actually the old farmhouse here, which was probably the main farmhouse until the newer one got built up on the hill. Wow, this mud is actually hard to walk in. My feet is just sinking right in. The reason I thought it would be cool to come here today is because there's actually a hole in the rock here, like a massive blowhole, and when the waves come in at a certain angle they go flying up in the air out of the massive hole in the rocks. So I thought, because the tide's quite far in, maybe the waves would be flying up in the air. So here we are on a wee adventure just to see what's going on here. I can actually see this, the tide has been so much higher than normal in this area recently, judging from what I'm seeing with all this debris and stuff washed to the higher level here of the beach. Anyway, I'm waiting to make my way around the coast. This is just going to be a short little New Year video, so I'll update you once we're a wee bit further around. Look at this, it's actually the Skirdy Nest lighthouse there next to Ferry Den in the distance. There's an old winch and stuff here for winching boats up and down, and that's with the fishing heritage of this land as well as the farming. Anyway, let's crack on round the coast, folks, and see what's going on. Whoa! I think that the blowhole is functioning today, folks, because I just saw water flying in the air at high heights. So I've come a little bit further along, and the sound of the waves crashing into the rocks today, you wouldn't believe it. It's just incredible. The last time I came here the tide was quite far out, and it's amazing to come back to these places at different times. Like now when the tide's in, it's such a different character and a different atmosphere. And look here in the field, you can see at this side how high the sea has actually been coming, and look at these massive chunks of wood that's been washed up. Wow, this place is just mind-blowing. It's like going to a different world. I can actually see some fishermen at the far end as well. I think I might have actually walked past that big blowhole in the rock, because it wasn't until I got further along here I was thinking it's maybe back over that direction. Sometimes with my videos here, I love documenting wild pieces of land as well as the incredible old history that's hidden within it. Sometimes when I come to a place like this, it's just like a paradise landscape. But the truth is, it can be such a ferocious, extreme landscape at times as well. With the wind, the weather and the water in a place like this, it just crashes into these coastal areas. It causes gradual erosion over the years. There's no two times you go somewhere and it's the same. It's just an absolute madness out here. So look at this in the land here, folks. This must be like an old bit of a field boundary here, or maybe a little feeding area for some animals back in the day, because I can actually see there's like a bit of a trough or a drain there. I'm being wary here in case I sink into a hole. Yeah, it's got that kind of trough bitty there, made of stone. You can see it there, the channel coming out below that wall. It could have just been an old field drain from back in the day as well. That's often what they did. Yeah, now and again there's just a loud like crash or a bang from the waves, and it's mad to think that noise is even like created from the water. Today the waves are just huge, ripping in at that far side. See, I think with the big blowhole in the distance there, the waves have to be coming at a particular angle for it to proper fly up in the air. There has been a couple of times I've seen it, but it's nothing too extreme today, I don't think. I think maybe the tide's either too far in or the waves are coming from like the wrong angle. Look at this, folks, the way the Boundary Wall here is built right onto the top of the coastal bedrock. I love to see little details like that when I'm walking about. And another cool detail with this wall, it's got the wee steps built into it for coastal walkers like myself here. And just look at it, think how long ago these stones were probably put in. This will be quite an old wall now, I would think. Sometimes walking routes like this were put in back in the day for the local community to get around when nobody was on foot. Maybe local fishermen and stuff would have their boats at certain harbours. But if anybody here watched my Christmas Day special video, I was actually about a mile up the coast here at a place called Ousing. And this is obviously, I started my walk at Scotstoun of Ousing, which is in the same area. It's just a few miles from each other. But the landscape looks so different really once you come around to this area. The way it's so desolate with the wild jagged rocks, and then the ferocious North Sea pounding in at the other side of them. And then I'm just kind of on this smooth piece of land here at the back of the coast. So some of these coastal rocks here at Ousing were actually volcanic in origin, and you can actually see the way they've been flowing, and you can often see the rich ores and stuff within them. They always say the bigger the ore in the rock like that there, the faster the rock had cooled. So when they're proper like massive like that there, it's a sign that this rocks may have been flowing into the sea when they were created, when they were coming out of the volcanic lands here behind me. And that's just insane ancient like history of the geology in a land like this. But the cool thing with this area here on the east of Scotland, there's always volcanic rock mixed with like sedimentary bedrock, and you get like a real crazy mixture of geology, and it's so interesting to see as you walk about. The temperature today is just 2 degrees Celsius and it's absolutely freezing here. Check out that, folks, there's one of those little vintage enamel pots out of somebody's kitchen back in the day. You can just imagine the chunk of butter sitting in that, like on the kitchen table or whatever. And then look at this, we've come further around the coast to this magnificent little crazy coastal area. Like, there's no way of describing it. The rock formations at this area of the coast are super unique, and this is the area that I was trying to walk around to. And I think last time I came on an adventure around here there was cows and stuff in the field, so obviously I was a bit more wary, but today we've actually managed to navigate here. And I thought the tide would be so far in that we wouldn't be able to get to this little rock structure, but actually it looks like we'll be able to walk right down, and this is so cool. It's such an adventure here, folks, for this New Year special. Whoa, these waves ripping in here are just crazy. It's just like savage here under the water. You have to imagine how rough those stones were. Like the undercurrents and stuff in an area like this are just deadly. And look, there's a little waterfall and stuff coming off this like little hilltop here. I need to go down to this area. So when I first discovered this place, I was actually with the channel DJ, and we were walking the opposite way from Ousing along the coast. And I actually put a YouTube short video on of that recently, and that was how I remembered about this incredible location. When you visit as many places as I do on adventures, folks, you forget how crazy like each individual place is. the uniqueness of like the way these rocks are in this little channel. I need to be super careful here because obviously I need to be wary of the sea, but the land itself here is super dangerous as well, super slippy, and I can see there's still frothy stuff in here from when the sea was at the higher height. That's maybe a sign that the tide's actually going out. Yeah, there's just water running down all these places. Look at this. This has all recently been like washed out. Similar to what we saw in a recent video where the bunker had been blocked up from a similar kind of landslide. Yeah, look at this. This is the rock here, which is just incredible. It's maybe going to be too wet today to even climb up it, but well, hey, look. There's just like a hole in this rock. It's a feat of Mother Nature herself. The way it's worn the softer sediment, or the sedimentary bedrock sometimes, and volcanic rock around it, and then the thing is that the sedimentary rock washes out and leaves areas like this at times. All this will be super fragile and could landslide at any minute because it's like a proper rock face, but then the mud's on top of it, and when the conditions are super wet, that's often when the mud on top just gives way. Wow, just check this out, folks. Wow. See, the last time I came here, I was actually standing up on there, but it was so much drier, but the sea was coming right up to the bottom of that. Wow, what an adventure this has been to come back and see it. Maybe in the summer one day we'll have to go over the top of there when it's dry and grippy. You wouldn't believe how slippy these rocks are, and obviously I'm in my wellies right now. If you were to fall down a wee area like that, it would be lethal. So I'm now going to go fully up today, folks, for safety. Also, the last time I climbed up there, the channel DJ was here, so if I had fallen, I wouldn't have been lying there for hours. Wow, yeah, this place is incredible. Look at the way the natural world is carved here from the wild North Sea. And it's just a breathtaking landscape. Look, there's old bits of pottery and stuff just everywhere in the ground. Over the years at these coastal communities and lands, like this would have been where they threw all the rubbish and stuff that they didn't need, and that's how you see the evidence of this. Look at this little waterfall. Trickling down into the little rock pool there. The water looks pretty clean. I need to be careful to make sure I didn't fall down there into the rock pool as well. Yeah, this is so cool. I should have maybe gone the same way that I came in. Yeah, I've never seen it, obviously. Like I say, it's different each time you come, and last time the tide was right up to here. But I reckon when the tide's fully in, it must come right into the back of this area here. Anyway, let's keep this adventure going, folks. Let's keep it moving. Look at this massive rock structure here as well, which is impressive. Maybe at one time it also had like a hole in it or an arch, but over the years, obviously, lands just change, and yeah, everything just changes so much, folks. Look at this, it's like we're on a different planet with just a rocky surface everywhere. There's so many rock pools and wee areas there. There'll be mad, like, all types of wee beasties and creatures down there, like. So last time I came here, I wasn't able to view the hole in the rocks from this side, so today it's going to be cool to have a look. See how it looks from this side. Often you get an idea how something like that was formed. Look how absolutely incredible that is. Wow. That is just amazing. I'm going to have to get a photograph of this. So as you can see from here, once the little waterfall flows into that water, like rock pool, it flows right around here. Look at this, the little stream. And check it out, it leads right around. It's worn its way over the years. You have to imagine when it's rocks and stuff like that, we're dealing with thousands of years, tens or hundreds of thousands of years for the creation of these shapes. The way it flows out into that bigger rock pool and then into the sea. Yeah, I'm just blown away by this, folks. Because I've never seen it from this angle, it's just so much more impressive. Even from the other side it looks cool, but wow. Look at this, there's a Lego brick down there. Looks like it's been in the sea for a very long time, but just imagine somebody at one time was probably building something with that, creating a wee structure or a wee machine using the Lego brick, and then here it is, trapped in a rock at oozing, battered from the wild North Sea. So at a certain distance out towards the sea here, the rocks is actually pretty grippy. Wow, look at that big root there of the seaweed sticking up. It's probably been washed in here in the recent storms. Some of those underwater plants though, and like even some of the underwater animals, they're just alien-like, because we hardly see them. When you do see them, it's just like, what the heck even is that? Look at that there, big chunk of metal. Another crazy thing when you explore lands like this next to the sea, you never know what's going to be washed up. There's just so many wee like nuggets or little trinkets from all over the world often. In areas like this, it's just sometimes stuff gets trapped into the wee rock pools, and as you're walking you just notice little things, even stones or bricks like from people's houses or buildings at one time. Whoa, that's a huge wave coming in here now. Look at this, there's water flowing off the land here to a high degree. I'm keeping it moving because obviously I didn't want a wave to wipe me out. If we get a really high wave here, I'm on quite a level piece of land next to the sea. And often in that scenario, like, it doesn't take much of a wave to come and wipe you out. Yeah, in last week's video when I was doing the Christmas special, I was probably like just around the corner on the coast at the little cove there of oozing. You can kind of see the corner of the village at this side. But what an adventure it's been today. I've absolutely loved coming down to this. Look at this here, folks. It's a bit of fishing gear stuck in the rock, a fisherman's hook with a lead weight on it there. It's like it was jammed in underneath the stone, so he's probably had to cut the line to continue his fishing adventure. So you can see these rocks here now have gotten super sloppy with the seaweed and stuff on them. So I'm going to actually try and make my way across. Because I've got the wellies on here, I should be able to actually walk. Oh, this is a great chance to wash the wellies. Wow. It's like walking about a different planet here, folks. I've said it already on the video, but I'm just mind blown by the scenes. I loved seeing that rocky outcrop and the way it was created from the sea pounding against it over the years, hundreds of years. To see it from the actual side where I hadn't seen it before, it's just more impressive than I could have imagined. Look at this rock. It's red, but it's got black speckles on it. The variation of rocks and stones at the coast is another reason that I love going for a walk in an area like this. It's mad that all these colours can be created. Obviously you have to imagine it when that rock is of liquid form. All those rich minerals are collecting at different temperatures and hardening at different temperatures, and then eventually the whole thing is hardened, and that's why it looks like that. And there's like little speckles of other rock in it, and you can imagine that's just a molten, bubbling cauldron. And look at this one here. All these rocks side by side, created at different temperatures and pressures under the Earth's surface. You get other rocks as well that are like sedimentary rocks, created completely differently under the ground. See the size of that wave ripping in there, folks. Sometimes when I'm waiting to switch the camera off, I just turn around and there's like a huge wave or something totally mental, and I hate to switch the camera right back on again. Look at this here. That's like a bone. That's part of like an animal's rib cage or something. What even is that, folks? Is that... It's a big, almost like a whale or something like that, potentially. It's from a big animal anyway. But I have seen whales' rib cages and they're normally massive, like the height of my head or bigger. So that's maybe some other sea creature. Wow, there it is in comparison with my welly, so it gives you an idea. It is quite a big beast, like. Who knows what we're even going to see next. Here's another detail, folks, just as I'm waiting to switch off the camera. This is the old boundary line here of the field. You can see how far the field is now from here, but at one time the earth would have come so much further because year on year the sea takes more and more of the land here and turns it back to this wild rock. But look at this. This is the old fence post, which at one time was the lower boundary of the field here, and I've seen a few of these posts lying on the rock when I was making my way up. So when I first discovered that crazy rock formation, I was with the channel DJ, and for this New Year special I need to shout out people like the channel DJ and other people that I know like across the world, like Bart in Holland, and who else do we have? Roy up in Orkney, shout out Roy. We've not seen Roy in a long time. Who else can I shout out, folks? AKR, channel historian. The channel botanist, shout out. All my family and friends and everybody that knows me all over the world. All my family in Australia and places like that. It's just about 2024 and here we go. People should be starting to make their New Year's resolution for 2025. And then when it comes round, you're ahead of the game, folks. That's what it's all about. And this is the sort of cool adventure. It's amazing to get out of the house. Just think of 2023 and all the other mad adventures that I went on over the years. The crazy history that I've found and documented. We're going to continue that into 2024 and keep the adventures coming. Because I love documenting stuff like that and making the wee videos, and it's all about the banter along the way, the things that I see and the places I end up walking. It's just so special to find and to document. And even a scene like this, folks, it's a winter's day, midday, and we're out here in a coastal paradise. There's just no another soul in sight, apart from the 3 fishermen that I saw at the far end. Shout out to them as well. So shout out as well to Jag, Betty and Solo Bro. They are other Angus YouTubers that go on similar adventures to what I go on. I've met Jag a couple of times and we need to link up again soon for an adventure. We'll have to go to some like a little abandoned house or on a wee adventure somewhere into wild lands like this, because it's special to see and it's cool often to go on these adventures and document the places that we see. And it is good to watch other people's videos from a similar area to where I'm from, because there's not a lot of YouTubers in this area of Scotland. Check this out, folks. This is an old like sink or a feeding trough probably from the farm. Look, it says Hurlford by Kilmarnock. And I think there's been a lot of farm debris and bits of farm buildings thrown over here to protect the land from the sea over the years. And that's how I've noticed a lot of wee historical wonders just tipped over. You would almost think there had been buildings here, but I think the debris from the buildings has been brought here. Look, this is super interesting, folks. That there is a massive chunk of like rusty metal, and it's so heavy. It's unbelievable. So I'm not even sure what it originally was. And that looks super rusty there. Not unless there's been some old like engine part or a bit of a car or something dumped over it. I think maybe the rocks here have got a high iron content, folks, because look at this rock. It's proper, it's a rusty rock, and you get that with the iron ore within the rocks. Look at that there. I wasn't even planning on coming to look at rocks and stones on this adventure, folks, but that's how crazy the geology is in an area like this. It's just, every time you look down at your feet, it's like seeing an alien planet, often with the colours or the differences between them. Look, here's big chunks of cement, which I believe must have been dumped here at a certain time. But I think it's been used obviously for agriculture for years. There is an interesting bit. It's like almost a bit that's been cut out at a certain time here in the land. So I'm not sure what they did at this area back in the day. Often in the war they wouldn't need a lookout in a position like this because there was no way for the Germans to successfully land with vehicles and that, because the ground's too extreme. So that's how often you would get the military bunkers or pillboxes in the more accessible bays on the land. Check out this, folks. There's loads of wee interesting kind of bits like this. It's maybe been part of something tipped over. I thought like years ago there was an old stone kind of trough in this area, and I'm thinking now it's maybe been washed away and actually broken. There's an incredible misty air over the top of the sea, like at the area that I was at a minute ago on the video and stuff. The further you look in the distance, the thicker the mist is today. And it's just the mad mist rolling in from the North Sea right here. Check this out, folks. It's a Victorian farm shed door lintel right here on the ground. Complete chunk of sandstone, and they cut it out like that for the shape of the door to go into it. And we've seen that recently on the videos, like at Torwood Cottage Farm. You could see how the doors were designed like that, and it's crazy just to see one of those stones abandoned out here. That's another thing that would have probably been thrown out here to stop the sea from like wearing at the coast. There's just tons of stuff, like old bits of pipe and things like that. And then loads of these cement, which at one time I was theorising this was the boundary of the field, but they've obviously been washed out. Check out this landscape, folks. We're now around as far as Scardiness Lighthouse and the original Scotstoun of Ousing Farm. And it's just breathtaking scenery with that grey sky over the top. Whoa, the waves just total fleeing in the air here to my right hand side. And I can see this cow starting to come out of that field at the top. So I'm hoping I can get back to my car without the cows coming into the field. So for its time, that little house at the top of the hill would have been a big farmhouse in its era. But nowadays obviously it's tiny compared to like the modern houses. But that would have been the farmhouse and a couple of farm buildings there at the top of the hill. And then I believe it's actually Ousing Estate here. There's an old burial ground which has got some old like headstones and stuff. Then in the foreground here it's the fishery history with a winch for railing up and down the boat out of the water, and you can imagine the boat sitting here. Maybe a few boats owned maybe by people in other little houses in this area, and the main hub of the farm here would have been a thriving big farm of its era, and then one day it's just abandoned and left, the newer farm up the hill taking its place. It's cool that they've actually left the old buildings here to tell the story of the history on the land. I'll probably come back in like a wee bit better weather and we'll explore some of those buildings again. Today it was more of a little coastal adventure. I never went back to that crazy like blowhole in the rock because it looked too extreme today. The sea is unpredictable when it's like this, and I'm not too familiar with that bit, and I didn't want to get wiped out by a wave here. But it was cool to see that other rock formation at the top end. Often if the cows is in certain fields, it's harder to navigate up there. Look at the massive engineering with a thing like this, folks. The big chunks of metal. Think about the hard graft. The boy probably had a handle on here, like hand cranking it. And this one's interesting because it's still got this massive ratchet system to stop it unwinding or winding back in when they were trying to unroll it or whatever they were doing. It's just insane to see. It's mad to see it, folks. I'm not sure when they stopped using that. It looks like it would have been 1960s or something potentially last time it was used. Maybe even in the war, but then the rope on it looks like it's in decent condition. But there used to be these all around the coast in Scotland. You often got those winches in the fishery areas. I think there's still like a little current shed here and stuff. There's a mad little burial ground, but like I say, we'll come back in the future to this spot again on some cool adventures, because I love all the wee nooks and crannies and the different things. Today's adventure's been more about celebrating this Hogmanay New Year period, folks. Celebrating a good year of adventures and the amount of things we've seen and documented, some of which are now gone and demolished. Some of the houses I explored last year, they're now renovated, and obviously the historical details that I recorded is now all gone or changed, so it's cool to have that. Saves the history for a future generation. Anyway, this is the muddiest section right here, folks. When I get back in my car, these wellies are going to be super muddy. So this old farm here, I believe, had like a loft here for drying the grain, and this is the front to the old furnace here for that procedure, because inside that building there's little chutes, like they've been, after they've dried the grain they would put it down through the chute into the other part of the shed. It's like an early form of a grain dryer. Some farms do have a lime kiln, but I believe that's not actually what that is, judging from the architecture of the room above. Yeah, just look at this here, folks. There's one solo cow here and he's just staring, but it looks like there's no way of him getting into that field that I'm in right now. Yeah, that cow there's got horns, whereas all the other ones, they're more calm looking. This one looks like it's up for a bit of fun. It's wanting to chase somebody. Right folks, that's me back at my car, so I'm going to end this video here. Thanks very much for watching. I hope everybody has a happy new year. I hope my adventures inspire others to go out and explore a bit of the wild countryside here. Yeah, I'm going to end this one here, folks. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll be back soon with the next adventure, wherever I end up going.
Bye.